So our next speaker will discuss COVID-19's impact on consumer behavior. Please welcome Stewart, business strategist at Accenture.
Can you all see the screen? Sorry. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to COVID-19 Consumer Trends. I'm Stewart. I'm a graduate of Florida A&M University, and I most recently worked in management consulting as a senior strategy analyst at Accenture, where I assist Fortune 500 companies with developing their short and long-term strategic vision across industries such as retail, consumer goods, telecommunications, and financial services. I also have some early stage venture capital experience, and I'm the host of a podcast called Divergent Unicorns, where I interview startup founders and venture capitalists that have been underrepresented within this space. So I guess in March 2020, our worlds were shaken up by the COVID-19 pandemic. Countries across the globe went into an immediate shutdown in hopes to slow the spread of the virus. Sadly, since the outbreak, over 10 million people in the US have been impacted. And what we envisioned to be a short shutdown turned into months of quarantine. And naturally, as a result, humans, we adapted to our new environment, and the emergence of new behaviors and consumer trends appeared. One of the biggest shockers was the acceleration and adoption of technologies that were projected to take years and decades to become the new normal. For instance, third-party delivery services for grocery. Prior to COVID, the adoption of grocery delivery was very skeptical, especially in areas outside of major hubs like New York City. People thought that it would take decades for mass adoption. Prior to COVID, a little over 30% of consumers shop for groceries through a digital channel. And now, after the outbreak, close to 80% of consumers have now utilized a digital channel to shop for groceries. Due to this adoption, we've seen the growth of companies such as Instacart, in which the company was losing $25 million a month last year, to now generating $35 billion in grocery sales in 2020. Another technological acceleration and adoption is the usage of telehealth. Overall, COVID exposed many gaps within the US health system, showcasing the need for new solutions and innovation. Luckily, telehealth was a solution that existed prior to COVID, and due to that, a lot of us were able to take advantage of the technology when hospitals were overflowed and it was very risky to visit due to how contagious the virus was. Research shows that prior to COVID, around 11% of consumers took advantage of telehealth. And now close to 50% of consumers have utilized telehealth services. Teladoc, the largest telehealth platform, saw a 200% increase in telemedicine visits year over year and is expected to add an additional $400 million in revenue from 2019. Third-party delivery and telehealth represent a few technological accelerations and adoptions, but what are some of the new consumer behaviors? One is definitely the way we work. When COVID-19 emerged, we saw unemployment rise to levels never seen before. Unemployment peaked at an all-time high of 14.7%, with over 20 million Americans impacted. But as consumers, we naturally evolved to our environment. Due to the lack of jobs and the need of companies to be able to easily flex labor, we've seen the rise of the gig economy, with people receiving and companies offering temporary work options, even for professional gigs. Also, when COVID-19 broke out, many of us were forced to work remotely and learn how to work on a team without face-to-face interaction and learn how to manage a schedule with back-to-back virtual meetings. Due to this new behavior, we've seen companies like Zoom have a 20x increase in daily participants. It is estimated that post-COVID, 25 to 30% of the workforce will work remotely. Another is the way we shop. Pre-COVID, many large retailers started to struggle because they weren't able to adapt to consumer shifts with preference for e-commerce. But during lockdown and quarantine, e-commerce became one of the only solutions for many retailers. Even though there was a trend towards e-commerce prior to COVID, now post-outbreak, we see older consumers that didn't rely on the channel now utilizing it. Research shows that 47% of baby boomers have increased their online shopping habits. There has also been a shift with consumers preferring to shop with brands that they are familiar with, but also due to the lack of safety concerns, brands that provide visibility into the development of their products, and also brands that are environmentally friendly. We've also seen the rise of the cost-conscious consumer, given the increase in unemployment and also the increased risk of being potentially laid off. Many consumers now shop with hopes of maximizing the perceived benefits for each dollar that is spent. The way that we receive our entertainment has also evolved. Prior to COVID, there was definitely a trend towards streaming, as we've seen with the growth of Netflix over the past few years. But when we were confined to our rooms and no longer could visit concerts and movie theaters, this trend accelerated further. For instance, Disney Plus was able to achieve the results of a Netflix within 5 months, in which it took Netflix 7 years to build. We also saw media companies such as Versus TV by Timbaland emerge with a unique concept to virtual concerts. And with the ability to bring in millions of viewers to a virtual concert in one night, when typically a concert in person ranges from 5,000 to upwards of 85,000 people. Or even the rise of esports. Twitch viewership grew by 1 million people 1 quarter after the COVID-19 outbreak alone. There also has been an increased focus on health, especially given the thoughts around that the virus could be easier to contract with a pre-existing condition and or a low immune system. Many of consumers have also been shopping for organic foods with a preference for local providers. The US saw monthly year-over-year growth of organic produce in the US increased by 10x in March compared with prior months. Also, with a lot of gyms and public locations shut down, a lot of consumers shifted towards new methods of remaining fit, whether that was by attending virtual workout classes or developing fitness challenges amongst friends and family. Due to this trend, we saw companies such as Peloton see a 232% increase in sales year over year alone. The last consumer trend that I'll touch on is the shift in media consumption. Media consumption habits have been shifting since early March, with a continuous increase in overall content consumption due to the developments and spread of COVID-19, and most recently, the presidential election. Specifically, there has been a shift to digital platforms as a source of information, research, productivity, and entertainment. Social media consumption has also increased. There has been a 29% increase in time spent on social media. And Nielsen studies also show that since we've been confined to our homes, that has led to 60% increase in the amount of video content watched globally. Overall, COVID-19 has caused many behavior shifts amongst consumers and has accelerated the adoption of many technologies and has also unlocked the potential for new innovations. I'm Behavior Stewart. That concludes my presentation. Be sure to connect with me on social media. Thank you for your time today.